Have you ever been in a relationship where someone made you feel small? Now imagine that feeling becoming real, not emotionally, not metaphorically, because in this story, a husband doesn't just ignore his wife, he shrinks her to 6 inches tall. And what begins as a scientific accident slowly turns into a war of love, power, and survival. But what happens next changes everything. This is The Miniature Wife 2026, a dark comedy, a relationship drama, and a sci-fi nightmare, all wrapped into one. At the center of it all are Lindy Littlejohn, a once famous Pulitzer Prize-winning author, and her husband, Les Littlejohn, a brilliant but dangerously obsessive scientist. On the surface, they have everything: money, success, a beautiful home. But underneath, their marriage is quietly falling apart. Lindy hasn't written anything meaningful in years. Her biggest success is behind her, and she knows it. Les, on the other hand, is chasing something huge, a breakthrough technology that could end world hunger. He's created a serum that can shrink organic matter. Yes, shrink it. Corn the size of a grain of rice, fields producing millions instead of hundreds. It sounds like a miracle, but there's one problem. He doesn't know how to reverse it. Meanwhile, a billionaire investor named Hilton is breathing down his neck. Les has 30 days to make it work or lose everything. The pressure is unbearable. The marriage is cracking, and then one night during a heated argument, everything spirals out of control. In a moment that feels accidental, but maybe isn't, Lindy is hit by the shrinking serum, and just like that, she goes from a full-grown woman to just 6 inches tall. When she wakes up, she's not in her bed anymore. She's inside a dollhouse, a perfect replica of her own home, built for their daughter Lulu. Except now it's her entire world, her prison, her reality. At first, it feels absurd, almost funny. But then the truth hits. She might be stuck like this forever. And this is where everything changes. Lindy's new world is terrifying. A phone becomes a wall. A cat becomes a predator. Even a normal conversation becomes dangerous, because when Les speaks at normal volume, it literally knocks her off her feet. And when she screams, it sounds like a whisper. At first, Les acts like he's trying to fix things, but slowly, something unsettling emerges. He's not just her husband anymore. He's her entire world. He controls her food, her safety, her future. And for the first time, Lindy realizes how small she's always felt in this marriage. Only now, it's real. What starts as desperation quickly turns into resentment, then anger, then something even darker. Because Lindy begins to suspect this wasn't an accident. And Les, he's too focused on his work, too obsessed with his deadline, too blind to see what he's done. Enter Richard, Les's colleague, the only person who listens to Lindy, the only one who actually sees her. And slowly, their connection becomes something more, something dangerous, something that will push this already broken marriage to the edge. Meanwhile, outside the house, things are getting worse. Hilton isn't just interested in farming anymore. He wants to weaponize the technology. Imagine tiny weapons of mass destruction, smuggled anywhere, undetected. The stakes are no longer personal, they're global. Back at home, Lindy stops being the victim. She fights back, setting traps, manipulating situations, turning the house into a battlefield. Think Home Alone, but darker, much darker. And Les, he responds, not with love, but with control. Because now, this isn't just a marriage anymore, it's war. But what happens next, no one sees coming.
As the tension reaches its peak, the story takes a sudden turn. Because now, it's not just about survival, it's about escape. Les learns something shocking. Hilton is planning to steal his technology and give it to the military. And even worse, his own team might betray him. Vivian, Hilton's cold, calculating right hand, fires Les and locks him out of his own lab. His life's work, gone. His only chance to save Lindy, gone. Or so it seems. That's when Les does something unexpected. He teams up with everyone. Lindy, Richard, Martin, Janet, even people who hate him. Because now they all want the same thing, to break into the lab and steal the cure. And this is where the show gets wild. A full-blown heist, but with a twist. Lindy, still 6 inches tall, is smuggled inside a pizza box. Yes, a pizza box. While guards patrol the lab, while Vivian watches closely, Lindy sneaks inside. Tiny, silent, invisible. But then, everything goes wrong. The serum isn't there. The passcodes have changed. And worst of all, the lab is now filled with miniaturized weapons. With no other option, Les makes a devastating decision. He's going to blow up the lab. His life's work, his dreams, all of it, just to stop Hilton. But before they escape, Vivian intercepts them, and in one brutal move, she kicks the cure down the drain. Everything is lost, unless they do the unthinkable. Les looks at Lindy and makes a choice. He shrinks himself and jumps into the drain with her, and what happens next changes everything.
The ending of The Miniature Wife looks simple on the surface, but once you really break it down, it's layered, uneasy, and honestly, kind of unsettling. By the time we reach the finale, everything is collapsing. Les has lost control of his own invention. Hilton wants to weaponize the tech. Vivian has taken over the lab, and the only formula that can restore Lindy is gone. Then comes the turning point. When Vivian kicks the restoration serum down the drain, it feels like the end. No cure, no hope, no way back. But then, Les does something unexpected. He shrinks himself. This is the single most important moment in the entire show. Up until now, Les has always had power. He was physically bigger. He controlled the resources. He made the decisions. Lindy was literally small and emotionally sidelined. But by shrinking himself, Les gives up control, enters Lindy's world, accepts vulnerability. For the first time, they are equals. Not metaphorically, literally. Inside the drain, the tone shifts completely. No lab, no status, no ego. Just 2 tiny people trying to survive together. This scene is symbolic. The dark drain equals the lowest point of their relationship. The search for the serum reads like trying to salvage what's left of their marriage. The teamwork, something they've been missing for years. And, importantly, they succeed together. Not Les alone, not Lindy alone, together. Back home, there's still one huge risk. The serum might not work. And this is where Les makes his second major choice. He decides to test it on himself first. Earlier in the story, Les prioritized ambition over everything. He risked Lindy's life. He avoided accountability. But now, he's willing to die. This is the first time his grand gesture actually involves real sacrifice, not just words. Even Lindy protests. Even Lulu is scared. But Les insists, because this time he understands the stakes. The serum works. Les returns to normal size. Lindy follows. The physical problem is solved. On the surface, it feels like a happy ending, but look closer and things get complicated. Yes, they survive. Yes, they reconnect. Yes, they renew their vows. But here's the key question. Did they actually change? Right after everything settles, Les promises to prioritize the relationship. Lindy promises to focus on writing again. Sounds perfect, right? Not exactly, because those same ambitions are what broke them in the first place. Lindy wants to write a book about the experience. Les still has Nobel Prize dreams. These goals are not small. They are massive, life-defining ambitions. And the show quietly suggests these ambitions will clash again. The entire ending revolves around one idea: power dynamics in relationships. At different points, Les had physical power, Lindy had emotional influence, then they fought for control. But the ending asks a deeper question: can a relationship truly be equal? Even in the final scene, Lindy announcing she'll write a book and Les quietly agreeing, that's not just support, that's submission. The balance of power has shifted again. Just when things seem resolved, the show drops one final twist. Vivian is alive. Not injured, not shaken, completely fine. And then she captures the tiny journalist Nils. She mentions adding him to her collection. This implies there are others like him, people who've been miniaturized and hidden. This opens up huge questions. Is Vivian more than human? Has this been happening longer than we think? Where is Bob, Les's missing colleague? The show isn't over, not even close. At its core, the ending isn't about science. It's about this: what happens when love and ambition collide? The show's final message is clear. Love requires sacrifice, but ambition demands control, and balancing both is almost impossible. Lindy and Les think they've fixed things, but the truth? They've only survived the crisis. They haven't solved the problem. The biggest twist of The Miniature Wife isn't the shrinking. It's the realization that being big again doesn't mean everything is okay. Because in relationships, you can grow back physically, but emotional damage, that's much harder to fix.